Hello, everyone. My name is Valerie Stimmick-Bailey, and you are tuning into a very exciting part of the Alaska Seminar Series for 2025. If you have watched any of these videos, you might have noticed that when I was recording the vast majority of them, it was dark behind me, which goes to show time has changed because I am recording this in early February, and there's now sunlight back in my part of the world, which is exciting. As you know, if you've done any Alaska research, daylight's an important consideration on when you visit. But that's beside the point because it took a few weeks to get it all pulled together. And I am so excited to have the team at Unalaska here to talk with me about their incredible community and how you can visit. So just some quick housekeeping before we jump into all the information that they have to share with you. First of all, this is pre-recorded. So if you have questions while you're watching this, and I hope you do, I hope you're planning to visit or considering a visit, you can just put them in the comments of the video. So just down below the video on YouTube. That is the best way to get an answer if I don't know it, which honestly, I could be completely honest, I don't know it because I've never been there, but I'm hoping to visit in the next year or two. I will reach out to the team at Unalaska and they will be able to get you an answer. If you have any other questions, there will be links to a whole bunch of helpful resources in the caption of the video. So without further ado, I'm just going to get out of the way because I'm just excited to learn as much about Alaska as hopefully those of you who are watching. And I want to introduce Katherine. She's going to teach us all about Unalaska.
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you for having us. It's just a pleasure to be on one of your shows and have more visitors ask questions and be interested in our community. My name is Katherine Trevona. I am a native of the island. I raised my kids here, lived here majority of my life, and just love our culture in our community. And with me, I have Trevona McGowan. She's our operations manager, and she's been with us for 3 years.
Something like that.
Yeah, 3 years, I think. So, yeah. So when you come to Unalaska and want information about our community, you can come in our office, and we also give out visitor guides with a map. So that can be mailed to you. You can request it by phone or email, and we'll help you out. And if you have any other questions about our community. We first would like to start off with our land acknowledgement. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that the Unalaska Visitors Bureau and all our programming is located on the unceded territory of the ancestral homes of the Unalaska peoples that have occupied the islands for over 10,000 years. UVB honors and respects these traditional lands that we educate visitors on. This original sketch was from John Weber, and he was Captain Cook's artist from 1778. This original sketch is located in the Museum of the Aleutians. Here's basic information travelers need to know. Here's the Unalaska Visitors contact information. My name is Katherine. My assistant is Trevona. Unalaska.org is our website. 907-581-2612 is our phone. And info@unalaska.org is our email. Plan ahead. Make sure your plane tickets are set. If you want to take the Tustamina, which is a state ferry, they will be here 6 times this summer from May to September. And then hotel reservations with the Grand Aleutian Hotel. Car rentals, we have a couple places to choose from here. Maps are in our office. Information is in our office. Pack warm and light clothes because being out in the middle of the Aleutian chain, you don't know what the weather is going to do from 5 minutes. So it's always changing.
I might add to dress in layers and preferably with the rainproof layer on the outside. You can always take something off, but it's a little harder to put something on if you don't bring it with you. So,
where is Unalaska, Dutch Harbor, Alaska? We are 800 miles from Anchorage, southwest of Anchorage. So if you see that little red arrow, that is where we're at. So in the spring, cruise ships usually come from Europe, Japan, and then they either go to Southeast Alaska or they take the Nome route where they go over the state of Alaska to the Northwest Passage. So May is really busy and September is really busy for us because those cruise ships are leaving again. If you're flying here, you would take a plane from Juneau or Seattle and then fly to Anchorage. From Anchorage, you fly here. The Aleutian Islands pepper the southwest region of Alaska. Halfway out on the Aleutian chain, a dramatic emerald green landscape greets visitors to one of Alaska's most remote communities. It feels a world away, even though it's 2 to 3 hour flight from Anchorage. Unalaska has a rich history of the Unangan people that have lived in this region for over 10,000 years. Unalaska is also located 50 miles from the Great Circle Route, which in turn makes the International Port of Dutch Harbor a bustling working community. The island is known for their indigenous culture and an abundance of seafood, World War II history, outdoor activities that include hiking, fishing, camping, kayaking, beachcombing, beautiful flowers, and marine life to view as you walk or drive by the surrounding ocean. The population here in Unalaska is 4,700 residents and about 4,500 transient workers. This is a working community that works 24/7. Everyone here has about 2 to 3 jobs, so we're always busy. What is new for 2025 for Unalaska Visitors Bureau? We have been seeing an uprise on new cruise ships arriving. We also have turned into, like, we used to subcontract a bus company to do our tours. We have purchased our 15 passenger vans, and we take up to 4 vans with, greeting the cruise ships and taking them around to the venues. So that has proved to be really efficient. The Villa V Odyssey is from Belfast, Ireland, and that is a perpetual cruise ship. So the people on there are residents. Uncruised Cruise Lines is out of Southeast Alaska. The cruise ship that's coming here is Safari Explorer, and she holds up to 36 passengers and about 18 crew. We also have the 2025-2026 Unalaska Visitor Guide coming out. That will be printed and shipped here next month. And in the guide, this is last year's, but we have all the information about our community, all the venues, and in the back, it has advertisements of all the businesses in our community. So if you want to go to a different restaurant, or if you want to charter a fishing boat, or just go whale watching, those businesses are in the back also with all their information. We usually utilize the city dock. The city dock is sometimes really busy, and we had maybe 3 cruise ships last year that anchored, and they had to tender their passengers in. So we reached out to CMA CGM, which is another shipping company, and they have a big enough dock to secure cruise ships. So we're working with them to have some more space available. As you can see, in the summertime, it is emerald green, velvet green. It's just beautiful landscape. As you can see, there's no trees here. There are some planted trees, but the winds are so high that they don't really survive. They have to be really protected to actually survive. I believe the highest winds clocked in Unalaska were 160 miles an hour. And right now, as we speak, it is gusting about 55, 60. And so in front of us, if you see straight ahead, it's Mount Ballyhoo is about 1,600 feet. And then to the left of it, you'll see a small island, which is called Hog Island. And then to the left is, well, what you see in front of us is Bering Sea. And if you were to look behind us from that photo, it would be the Pacific Ocean. This photo is taken from Pyramid Mountain. So right below Mount Ballyhoo is our landing airstrip. So when you land, you will either land, well, you do land, either side of the runway has water, and you have that big mountain. And we'll describe how that was built during World War II later. Anything you want to add? No? Okay. Right, if you could go back, sorry. It's okay. So Dutch Harbor is actually right below Ballyhoo. And the term Dutch Harbor was actually coined by Captain Cook when he was here in the 1700s. He saw a Dutch ship anchored and named it Dutch Harbor. So the natives of the island call it Unalaska, and Unalaska means by the mainland. And over the years, for pronunciation, Unalaska has been, it's changed for pronunciation. But so Dutch Harbor is actually the harbor, but a lot of people recognize it from Deadliest Catch or Flying Out Here. It is named Dutch Harbor. A map of Unalaska. A lot of people don't realize how spread out we are to reach your venues. So the map is really helpful. It shows you detail on how each segment is. If you want to go to World War II from the cruise ship, it tells you how many miles that is. And the next section would be World War II to the Museum of the Aleutians. It tells you how long that is. Next section would be Museum of the Aleutians to the Orthodox Cathedral. So it is, a lot of people say, you can walk. It depends on the weather. Some days it's windy, rainy, but the terrain is, you go up and down hills. So if you're very physical, it's paved roads. It's good. It's safe, but you just never know about the weather. So 40 miles of roads, 5 bridges, paved roads are 9.2 miles. So it is pretty well maintained by the city. Navigating to Unalaska Dutch Harbor, we have Aleutian Airways. We used to have a couple airlines coming in and out, but now we're down to one, Aleutian Airways. FlyAleutian.com is where you would book your ticket, and they also have a 1-800 number. I believe it's like $1,400 round trip. One way is about $1,000. And then the Tustamina is $400. Depends on it. You usually start in Homer or Dutch Harbor, whichever way you want to go. For a ticket on the Tustamina, $400, and that just gets you to the open space area. You can, a lot of people bring a tent and they sleep up in the solarium where it's open but heated. And then down in the main cabin, there's some seating for people to rest and sleep if they wanted to. They also have 6 4-person berths and 17 2-berth cabins. They have 1 wheelchair accessible cabin. So that usually runs $400 to $500. I know for the 2-berth. I'm not positive on the 4-berth. But those are always available. You have to book way in advance because those go really fast. Vehicles, if you want to bring a vehicle, it's about $1,052. If you want to bring a smaller car, it's about $972. So the prices are really reasonable. As I stated before, the airlines, it runs you about over $1,000 one way. So just be cognizant about travel and how much the cost is. The cost for airlines is so high because we're so remote, 800 miles away. It's our weather, beautiful summers we have, but we have fog. So you can fly all the way out here, which is a 2.5 hour flight, and have to turn around because there's a fog layer. And as you see in the middle, that is a beautiful summer day, and that's the Westerdam, which is a Holland America cruise ship. And that picture shows the Orthodox Cathedral. It's in the middle of our bay. So, yeah, those are the ways we can get out here. What is Unalaska known for? Our Unangan culture, dancing, basketry, woodwork, and hunting skills. Their basketry is so fine and beautiful. The baskets can hold water. The dancing, as you see, they wear beads, and they usually use seal fur or sea otter as part of their regalia. And the woodwork, building kayaks, we call them ikyaks, but kayaks was very sought after because they were pretty innovative on building those. And the bow of the Ikiak is split, and that is for when the kayak hits a wave, that the water doesn't splash their face. It also makes them a little more aerodynamic. Their hunting skills, they hunted seals, sea otters, whales, did fishing, so they were definitely sea people. They fished from the ocean, survived, subsisted from the ocean. World War II was June 3rd and 4th. We were the second U.S. state bombed during the war in 1942. I was talking about our runway. The runway here was built during the war, and that was completed in 9 days with Marston matting. So if you look at black and white photos, you'll see Marston matting, and it's all gravel. So the planes were more seaplanes than airborne planes, so it was pretty interesting. Our runway is 4,500 feet long, and it seems very short when you're taking off and landing. Our fisheries is very rich. We have 3 seafood processing plants on our island. Deadliest Catch is well known with the Discovery Channel. They kind of put us on the map. Fishing king crab, snow crab. We also fish for halibut, cod, sablefish, and pollock. There's multiple more items that we catch here in our ocean, but those are like our main ones.
I guess I would like to add that the picture of the rusting boat that's in the water, that is the Northwestern. That was a ship that was bombed here during World War II, and she is currently resting up in Captain's Bay.
Actually, there's a lot of World War II remnants in Unalaska, Dutch Harbor, pillboxes, Quonset huts,
Panama gun emplacements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Fort Schwatka is actually a National Historic Landmark. So you hike up there and you can see foundations of buildings, the Panama gun placements, and just there's this beautiful bunker right on the side of the cliff that you can get into and just like look down. It's pretty neat. And how they built it in 1942 on a cliff is just amazing. The Russian Orthodox Cathedral, this is our second National Historic Landmark on our island. It was built in 1808 and completed in 1896. It is the oldest cruciform cathedral in North America. The bishop's house that is adjacent to the cathedral was built in San Francisco, California. It was dismantled, shipped, and reassembled in Unalaska. Over 700 icons and relics reside in the cathedral. It was also used as a seminary and school at one point. So you can see the pictures of the renovation. And Rossiya is Russian Orthodox Sacred Sites in America. And they renovate sacred sites. And last year, they finished the completion of that renovation. I was lucky enough to be their interior decorator. So just looking back on pictures from the 1800s, the color theme is the same. The same steps and rail is still the same from 1882. It is just, cleaned up and refurbished a little bit. It's just an amazing and beautiful building. Same with the Orthodox Cathedral. It is so intricate on the inside. You just think about in the 1800s, they didn't have any like electric tools or what we have today for painting or the supplies that we have. So it was really interesting to just go there and see how amazing everything was built. And it is a beautiful, once you go into the cathedral, you can smell the incense, just see the beauty of the building. And then the bishop's house is the same way.
I would like to add that, my favorite thing about the church is that the father actually wrote down the Unungan language in Cyrillic. And I really enjoy that little fact because I'm from a different part of Alaska, and the part that in Alaska that I'm from, the missionaries that did come to the area really discouraged my mother from speaking her native language. And that's an important, I think, thing that the Russian Orthodox Church did to preserve part of the culture here. And I really respect that.
So last summer, the bishop and some other dignitaries came to celebrate St. Innocent's 200th anniversary. He was here from 1797, and they just celebrated his arrival because he was the first priest on the island, and he was the one who created the language for the Unangans and really brought a lot of stability in this community. As far as like teaching, the bishop's house was a school, so it was really neat to hear the stories about. He is now Saint Innocent, so he is canonized. Is that what you call it?
Canonized.
Canonized. Sorry. So pretty neat to see the bishop and I don't know, I would say 10 other dignitaries that came to our community and really had some really big celebrations. And this was the first time in many years that the bishop was able to stay in the bishop's house, because the original intent for the bishop's house was for Bishop Nestor. And unfortunately, he was lost at sea coming here. So he didn't even get to live in the house, but his actual grave is right by the cathedral. So yeah, that's pretty neat. Pretty neat to, like, I tell the story about Bishop Nestor and then all the guests go and, they visit his gravesite. So it's pretty neat. So this is the Museum of the Aleutians. That you can also go on their website, aleutians.org. I'm sorry I didn't put their phone number, but their phone number is 907-581-5060. The Museum of the Aleutians opened in 1999 is a state-of-the-art cultural museum whose mission is to collect, preserve, and share the rich legacy of the Aleutian Islands region. Every summer, MODA has an archaeological dig, which they find amazing artifacts that they preserve. Last year, I believe they found a couple arrowheads, but as you see their collection up against the wall, they have arrowheads, they have needles, they have labrays, which is jewelry pieces for their lip. So it's pretty neat what they find every year. I actually volunteered the last couple years, so it's always fun to go get a little muddy. The World War II Visitor Center, their website is unalaska.com. Unalaska is our local corporation here, native corporation. So if you want to hike outside the city limits, you need to obtain a land use permit. A land use permit. So their phone number, you can obtain that on their website or call them at 907-581-1276. This is our third National Historic Landmark on the island. This is the original aerology building during World War II. So down below you'll see all the memorabilia and facts about World War II. There is upstairs is the same setup as it was during World War II. So the radios are up there. There are little typewriters and some really neat reading boards of facts. There's also a small auditorium theater where they show a 28-minute video of the Unangans that were evacuated during World War II. So that gives you a lot of insight on what they had to endure during World War II. Fisheries and deadliest catch. As I said before, we have 3 major seafood plants here on the island. They process over 750 million pounds of seafood a year. Our fishing season is busy all year round. I think the month of May is like kind of our slow month where they're changing gear and gearing up for the summer, but majority of the time there's people flying in and out all the time. Deadliest catch is known for king crab and apelio crab. their season starts October 15th. So end of September, the Deadliest Catch crew, film crew, come in to prepare for the fishing vessels to go out and fish. And then we still have all the seafood workers that are in the community that come in for information, which they're all from all over the world. So they recruit seafood processors from all over the world. Deadliest Catch is also known to be one of the deadliest jobs in America. It's the working environment and the elements that you have to go through.
So the picture in the middle on the top, that is the Titan Explorer. That is the boat of Jake Anderson from the Deadliest Catch show. This is actually his new boat. Before he had this boat, he was running the Saga. The picture to the left is taken from Bunker Hill. You can see Ballyhoo there in the background. And then the seafood processing plant there that you see is Unisea.
The Bunker Hill, you can see the bunkers right there, the picture to the left. Bunker Hill is also known as Hill 400. There are some gun placements up there, Quonset huts, and that bunker is the only bunker that's on top of the mountain, which gives you a 360 view of Unalaska Dutch Harbor.
The picture in the middle on the bottom is a fishing picture. Someone is, it looks like it's a long line and someone is grabbing, that's either cod or pollock, which are fish that belong to the same family. The picture to the right is Unisea seafood processing plant.
So this is our life that we breathe and live May through September. And it's fast and furious. It is, it's so much fun to educate tourists who come from all over the world, and they are fascinated by our island after we do the tours. And so they come into the dock, our vans line up. Vans are marked clearly and color-coded, so it's easy access if you want to go to a certain venue before another venue. That is the reason why all the vans interconnect at some point. And so if you read, it's since 2008, we've had 5 cruise ships to today. We have 19 scheduled. We also see a bunch of sailboats that come from Japan, and they come in for information. We also have independent travelers from all over the world. We estimate about 10,000 guests in about a 6-month period. So we're a small nonprofit. We're the 2 only full-time employees, and then seasonal workers kick in. So we have about 7-8 drivers for the cruise ship season. Kagasakung means thank you in Unangam Tunu. Thank you for having us. Again, our information is unalaska.org. I'm Katherine. This is my assistant, Trevona. info@unalaska is our email. 907-581-2612 is our phone number. To the left, you will see a whiskered auklet. That is a rare bird that birders do love to come and see. You would have to take a charter to go see them because they're out on the smaller islands around us. We have beautiful sunsets and sunrises. We have beautiful wildflowers. Our only wild animals on the island are Arctic fox and Arctic squirrel. So there's nothing that will attack you during the hike or camping season. So it's pretty safe, and it's just a beautiful scenery. There's waterfalls, there's fishing, hiking. Bonfires are pretty regular on the beach in the summer. It's, the midnight sun. So we usually stay up quite late and rise early. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm back. I'm unmuted. I'm sorry if anyone was watching and I was clearing my throat, and that is why I stay muted throughout the whole talk, because I don't want to distract anybody. This was amazing. So let me get back to just us so we can have a chat and go through some questions. I had to restrain myself. Like it is such a difficult thing for me to sit here and have all of my own questions and all the incredible commentary. So I'm going to just really quick go off a little bit and get people super excited and like tie it all together. Because I would hope if you are watching this and you followed me for any amount of time, you know that I am passionate about many of the subjects that Unalaska has to offer visitors. Of course, I say this like it's not the most important thing. Native culture, Native Alaskan culture is just such a deeply moving thing for me as someone who grew up in Alaska. I'm not a member of any Native community, but I feel such a strong connection to the heritage. And I am deeply moved by the fact that Alaska as a whole is really embracing and promoting its culture, because that is part of what makes the state so special. Now, that said, I will say, since you're probably going to fly through Anchorage to get to Unalaska, make sure you go to the Alaska Native Heritage Center. Because that's a really incredible primer for what you're going to see. And what's going to happen is if you're like, I don't know if I want to fly all the way to the Aleutians, you're going to go to the Native Heritage Center. You're going to see the incredible basket weaving and the photos they have of the Aleutians. And then you're going to say, well, now I have to come back to Alaska because I didn't plan my trip to the Aleutians, that's me. So that's just some advice. You're going to already be going through Anchorage, and the Native Heritage Center is just an incredible place to inspire you to visit all these other areas. The other thing I would say is I think that from what I got from what you were telling me is Unalaska is an incredible microcosm of the different historical forces that played a role in the development of the state. So obviously that's Alaska Native culture, but that's also Russian Orthodoxy, which you really don't see except along the coastal regions. Then you have war history, which isn't as evident anywhere else in the state and is really cool. And I am sitting here in my mind going, oh, I have a friend who blogs about traveling to World War II sites. And I'm like, we need to plan a trip because this is right in her wheelhouse. And then you have all the modern industry that's sort of, what people expect when they come to Alaska. What they think of is deadliest catch and tourism, and you all have that as well. So I would say if you are looking to get off the beaten path, off that tourist track, I get lots of questions about that. Unalaska, it sounds like it's the place. And, you're going to pay a little bit to get there, but that's also because you're traveling to a truly remote community. That sounds incredible. I'm sold. When can I visit?
Come on out.
All right.
I want to add that the city also has a beautiful library. If you're wanting internet or just to be somewhere, and just the library is beautiful. It has beautiful art and every book that you can. We have an Alaskan room, which has all of Alaska history books and information if you want to learn about a different community. The city also has parks, culture, and recreation. So if you're an avid athlete, there's a weightlifting room, track, basketball courts. There's a swimming pool, a sauna. There's yoga. So we have kind of everything. So
amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Okay. So I want to start with, I'd say, and probably you can underscore this as well, as like, I'm guessing most people visit as a cruise ship now. Like the vast majority is cruise ship visitors, and now that cruise ship has grown, or is it kind of more even between independent travelers and cruisers? I
think that's a fair statement. There more people do come in because the cruise ships are, they're up to 2,000 people, where our smallest cruise ship is like 100, biggest is 2,000. The individual travelers don't travel in too much of a big group. It's more like 6 people, but nothing huge.
Yeah.
And we do get people that contact us from all over the world. I've just recently got requests for information from Italy, from I think when I first started a couple years ago, we had a couple visiting from Austria. Mm-hmm. So it's people from all over the world, really, that come here.
Amazing. So I was asking because I was thinking like the questions kind of do split between cruise visitors and independent visitors. So we're going to take each one in turn. I want to start with the independent visitors because I say that's more likely what I would be, but I also love uncruise. So it's not impossible I would visit with them at some point. But let's start with the question. How many days would you advise a traveler to plan? If they're sitting down at the very beginning and they're saying, I can have anywhere between 1 day and 7 days, what is kind of a great sweet spot for visitors?
I would say 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
I was going to say 5, but it's in the same ballpark. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we have guests, guests that come in to do reporting, it's usually a 3-day, but, depends on if you want to travel, and camp or hike, it really depends on if you're a birder or if you're here to sports fish. So, I would say 3 days to 5.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I was sort of thinking in the 2 to 3, so I am obviously underestimating. Let's talk about flight. So this is a question I got from Judy. Um, it sounds like weather can provide delightful diversions. How do you have any sense of like how often flights get diverted or rescheduled?
So yesterday, the flight actually turned around at False Pass and went back to Anchorage. Um, I can check FlightAware and see if the flights made it out today. If you just give me a second.
Yeah, it really depends. We also use the Windy app, where we look at the weather forecast. It's always changing and moving. We can never predict what's going to happen. I think this summer we had fog twice, and I think that was, yeah, summer was just maybe 2 times where the planes wouldn't land.
So it looks like the first Aleutian flight from Anchorage is on a delay. And it looks like we did get a couple of Ace Cargo planes in because they don't carry passengers. Their flight rules are not as strict as ones that do.
And so FlightAware.com is an app that we utilize. You put in Anchorage International. It'll prompt, what city you want to leave from and what city you want to arrive in. So Anchorage, Alaska, and Dutch Harbor, Alaska. So you would look up leaving Anchorage, arriving Dutch Harbor, or vice versa. So.
Yeah. I find it's hard to travel around Alaska much and not become a little bit of an aviation nerd because it is such an instrumental way to explore the state. Okay, that's great advice, FlightAware. I'll make sure that is linked in the caption. But it sounds like generally summer's usually better odds, far more often than not.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Here's a great question. So we got lots of logistical questions, which I can imagine is the majority of what you get. So you mentioned there are car rentals. Excuse me. You mentioned there are 3 car rentals, which is actually really impressive because I've been looking at some other communities that have, one guy with a car who borrows, lends it out. So what are the options for getting around? Like if you fly there and you want to have mobile transportation, what are your options?
So when you fly in at the airport, there's 2 car rentals, BC Vehicle Rentals and Northport Rentals is right by the airport too. So those are your 2 options. There is multiple taxis that run around on the island. And then if you have a group that you want us, UVB, to tour around, you just have to book with us. Like we do the 15 passenger vans. And we take you to all the venues, which is World War II Museum of the Aleutians and the Orthodox Cathedral. We also do some a little bit of off-roading to the Memorial Park and maybe Carl E. Moses, where the deadliest catch boats are tied up. So it really depends on your timeline and what you would like to see. So it's really catered to what you'd like.
Got it. That makes sense. So let's jump to another question. And this one we're swinging toward the cruise pendulum, but not entirely, because it sounds like the service that UVB can provide can be used by cruise passengers, but also is available to independent travelers. So if you arrive by cruise ship and in most communities, there's like a whole bunch, there's like a brochure and you pick what you want to do. And like you're doing whale watching or you're doing a food tour. It sounds like it's a little bit different in Unalaska. So can you walk us through what it's like for a cruise visitor as they step off the boat? Like, what are they going to experience?
They can actually choose to use our services, which we take you on the vans as explained. You can also, they have a choice of, there's taxis and there's also another tour, a small tour company called Aleutian Adventures. And she does a smaller group. She takes you around the community just as we do. And just does her version of it. So that's always an option. But I've seen tourists utilize the taxis, use us, and whatever. If they're into hiking and just want to walk, I've seen a lot of tourists who just want to get on land and walk and just like explore on their own. So it's really up to them.
Yeah, I can imagine if you're a visitor who's choosing a cruise itinerary that has Unalaska, you are a little bit more adventurous than the standard inside passage cross Gulf route person. Not that I'm judging that at all, because I've done many of them and they're delightful, but I can imagine if you're doing a Northwest Passage or a Trans-Pacific, you're like, put me on some land for a few hours, anything. I don't do anything.
And they also request seafood. So
Oh.
we direct them to the 2 open restaurants that have seafood. Well, there's actually 3: Harbor View Bar and Grill, and the Norwegian Rat Saloon, and the Grand Aleutian. But the Norwegian Rat Saloon has a beautiful view, great food, and then we always say Deadliest Catch crew and captains usually hang out here, so they usually want to go there. But we have for a small community, we have really good food. We're pretty fortunate.
Yeah, you're kind of in a nice place where if it's not directly in your waters, it comes through your waters on its way to somewhere else.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay, so go ahead.
The Grand Aleutian Hotel has every Wednesday the seafood buffet. So if you're a really big seafood buffet person, it's king crab, it is shrimp, it is everything that you could think of. And it's Wednesday 6, I think they do 6 to 9 p.m. So Sunday brunch, they do an amazing job on Sunday brunch too. So the Grand Aleutian is quite well known for their food.
So I'm planning the trip now because I'm like, okay, fly in on Saturday. I need 5 days. I got to make sure I stay till Wednesday. Lunch on Sunday right after I get there, and then I can leave the next day after I have my seafood buffet. Got it. Okay. Speaking of seafood, it sounds like this is the case, but I just want to confirm that there are opportunities to book fishing charters when you visit.
Yes, please book in advance because they also book really fast. Summertime is their working season, and everybody knows book prior to your arrival. So you do have to obtain a fishing license,
Okay.
and there's fish on charters, Keeping It Real, and Mac Enterprises that do charters. And
Awesome.
I believe Aleutian Adventures, they do just a small like in-harbor fishing or whale watching service.
That's 2 questions that is right for me. Go ahead.
Aleutian Life Tours.
Oh, Aleutian
Life
Tours. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. That you actually sort of teed up 2 more questions. One is one that I didn't get asked, but I was curious. So there is whale watching. What whales do you get and when? What are they doing when they're coming into your water?
Oh my gosh, we have humpback whales, minke whales, killer whales, sea lions, harbor seals, sea otters,
porpoises. I've seen porpoises when I've been out fishing.
Yeah, it's quite amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. This summer I was able to experience going out in the harbor on a Zodiac and being right there. And there is like over 150 whales in the harbor. And wherever you looked, you could see them, hear them, smell them. It was so beautiful and amazing. Yeah.
That's very cool.
I mean, when you're driving, you can see them. You see them. Just a lot of people, when you see a car pulled over, you're like, oh, whale watching.
And it's usually not just one car. It'll be like, 10 cars just pull off to the side of the road.
And
naturally.
And they get really close. And they stayed until September or October this year.
October.
Yeah. They were here really late this year.
Cool.
But our winter has been really interesting too. We usually have about 20 inches of snow. It's all rain now. So just a little warm season.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've heard that from everyone I know everywhere in Alaska, pretty much.
Right, yeah.
Meanwhile, other parts of the lower 48 where I live are getting just frozen. It's been so cold for so long here.
Yeah, Florida's got snow.
Yeah. That's like, can we switch back, please?
Right.
That's just work like this. Okay, so let's go back. We were talking about fishing. We're talking about whale watching. Let's talk about motion sickness, because I'm so delighted to hear there are sort of harbor only options, because I am personally very sensitive. So what, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are the good options for people who are sensitive? Is it really bad the minute you get out of the harbor? What are we looking at?
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually a fisherman myself, and what will make me like really seasick is when we are close into the shore, like working the net, and there's a lot of surf hitting the beach, and you're looking down into the boat, picking the fish out of the net, and you're moving, but what you're looking at is staying. So that's when I'll feel kind of woozy a little bit, but I don't get like seasick. I just get like a butterfly in my stomach for a minute. But I think that one of the things that will help you combat that sickness is to look out and actually see what's making you move. Look out across the water to see what's actually causing the movement will help some of that.
Yeah, I've definitely had the looking down phenomena happen just once, and then I learned that I do not do. I mean, I'm very sensitive to, like, I was on a small sailboat and we were docking, and we were in a harbor, and I still got seasick. I'm very sensitive, but it sounds like there are options, and certainly do charters or whale watching vessels tend to go so far that you wouldn't see land? Or are they always going to be within eye shot of land?
You're going to always be around the island. Yeah.
Okay.
I took the state ferry a couple years ago from Homer to here, and there was just one area passing over the peninsula from Kodiak to the peninsula where it was a little rough. And I was like, I'm either going to get sick or I'm going to fall asleep. I woke up the next morning. I was like, are we moving? And I looked out the window and we were moving. It was that flat calm. So, wow. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I didn't even think about that because people do visit via ferry as well.
Right.
Okay. Let me see if I have any more questions. I don't think so. Is there any last information, any fun facts, anything else you want to share?
I just think if you're very interested, give us a call. We would love to help you or assist you in any way. We can mail you a visitor guide with a map, and we also have other pamphlets that you can go over. You can also visit our website, unalaska.org, and you can download this if you'd like. So everything is available. I think summertime is really beautiful here. The sunsets, the sunrises, the wildflowers are in bloom. We also have salmon berries and blueberries that you can harvest if you're hiking around, which is really good. And just the beauty of the landscape. The whales do help. And we do have a lot of bald eagles and birds if you're a birder. So I
did notice that foggy photo had 2 bald eagles on the 2 spires of the cathedral. I was like, that is an incredible shot, right? Like, even without the fog and the cruise ship, that was an amazing photo.
During their nesting season, they put out these signs, and it says, what does it say? Beware nesting eagles. And it shows this person in a silhouette like this, because they do, if you get close to their nest, you will be attacked. Ooh, they're very protective.
They are not small birds, I will say.
No,
they're seeing them up close. Wow, that's fascinating.
And we have quite a few. So the tourists come here and they're like, oh my gosh, a bald eagle. I said, you'll see plenty. And then we toured this 15-passenger van around this summer when a ferry came in. And I started off as a game. I was like, okay, let's see how many eagles we can find. And we had over 100 by 1 o'clock. We started at 9. We had over 100 by 1 o'clock.
I got to get out there. Okay, well, I think I will wrap everything up. So thank you, everyone who's been watching. As a reminder, if you have questions, please put them in the comments. I keep an eye on these comments forevermore, and I make sure you get an answer, whether it's from me or it's from someone at UVB. And then I just have to say, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to teach us, Katherin and Trevona. I'm sold. Like, I got to start saving up, because it is a commitment in time and resources, but it sounds like it's going to be an incredible trip to make it out there someday. And I hope to meet you both in person when I do.
Yeah, I hope you make it out. It'd be fun to take you around and show you our community. I forgot to add that we do have Airbnbs. So if you do not want to stay at the hotel, there are Airbnbs, but for Airbnbs, you would want a car rental for that. The Grand Aleutian does have a shuttle from the airport to the hotel. So, and then when you stay at the Grand Aleutian, everything is like in walking distance. You have Safeway, you have other restaurants,
the Museum of the Aleutians, Alaska Ship Supply.
Yeah, everything is kind of in that walking area. The beautiful beaches where you can beachcomb, and Bunker Hill is close by. Everything is pretty close by, so it's not too bad here.
All right. Well, when I figure it out, I will be reaching out to get connected so we can have a great time.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Thank you for having us. And if anybody has any questions, please let us know. We'd be happy to answer them.
Sounds great. Thank you again.
All right. Bye.